The New England Patriots hold the number 3 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, but do they already know how they're going to be spending it? Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Not only is Locked On Patriots free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, so smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to download and follow wherever you get your podcasts to ensure you get the latest episode as soon as it's available. But we are also a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated. Reach out to me. Let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. While you're out there showing some social media love to Locked On Patriots, follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And Pats fans, with the NFL scouting combine in full swing and the draft fast approaching, your New England Patriots are hoping to find the right prospects to fill several areas of need on their roster. But if recent reports are to be believed, New England Patriots may already know exactly how they're going to be investing that prime capital of the number 3 pick in the upcoming draft. Here today to help us break it all down is our good friend, the legend himself, Thomas Murphy. Murph, thank you so much for joining me today and for coming to me in friendship. We need your wisdom and counsel today, Don Murph.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, Michael. Happy to be here. Just hope to help the ball club.
Absolutely. You got to support the team.
Yes.
So the big news coming out of New England within the last 24 hours or so is the Patriots' plan to draft a quarterback at number 3. It's looking like that's the direction that the New England Patriots are going to be going in. This is a 4-13 roster, Murph. They have tons of holes on this roster that need to be filled. But according to Jeff Howe of The Athletic, and someone who is definitely dialed in, while it's not a done deal, and I want to be very cautious on this because Jeff was very cautious on this too, it's not a done deal. It is reported that the New England Patriots will be taking a strong look at the quarterback position with their number 3 overall selection.
Right.
Murph, the plot thickened a little bit after that. Karen Garrigan and Mark Daniels of Mass Live reporting that their sources are indicating that not only are the Patriots planning on taking a quarterback at number 3, they are also planning on signing a savvy veteran and probably shipping Mac Jones out of town. Now, none of these are revelations that I think either one of us were shocked by. Maybe a little mildly surprised, maybe a little mildly disappointed. But if, in fact, the New England Patriots are going to go quarterback at number 3, how do you see this all shaking out from a logistical standpoint? And is it the right move?
I think on the latter, my stance on whether or not it's the right move. I have no problem with taking a quarterback in this draft. I have a problem with taking one of these 3 quarterbacks in the first 3 picks of this draft. I do not think that these kids are untalented. I just don't believe that they're the type of quarterback that you go all in on. I really don't. As I said, there are questions that I have, that a number of people have, fine quarterback evaluators have, about the makeup of these guys, the players that they were surrounded by, and of course the competition that they faced. And these are all strong questions that make me a little hesitant in giving up the number 3 pick in this draft and what happens? Do they love all three? Is it going to be, the last player available as it was with Mac Jones a few years ago? Or does it change up if, the guy that they want, and I'm not sure of the guy that they want. I don't think anybody is right now. Um, is gone at the third pick, and then they decide to trade back and grab one of those next tier guys that we've all talked about, because that's still in play also.
Absolutely. It is still very much in play, folks. And I know a lot of people are looking and saying, well, they're not going to take JJ McCarthy with number three. They're not going to take
No.
Bo Nix with number three. You're going top three right now, which is Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden
Jaden
Daniels.
Daniels. Yep.
Now, Jeff's report really, I think, took a little bit of a deeper dive in terms of what the Patriots are looking for, in terms of
Right.
their logic and in terms of what they're thinking. They believe that this is the best way to kickstart their quest to rebuild this team. I'm quoting Jeff verbatim here. He said the Patriots look at it like this: if you get the rare chance to draft one of the top prospects at the game's most valuable position, it's worth
Right.
taking a big swing, even if the surrounding roster isn't great. The quarterback position is simply too important to risk passing on one in hopes of maybe landing one a year or two later. Murph, we've talked about this where if you're not completely satisfied and you're not settled on going quarterback in top three, that the best thing to do is trade down and maximize your ability. Do you think this is maybe more about going all in and trying to get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, or do you think this is really more all about just finding the correct fit?
I think it's about finding the correct fit. With everything that's being bandied about and said, um, toughness is something that is high on the priority of Mr. Elliott Wolf and Van Pelt and Gerard Mayo. They've all been spouting toughness, toughness. We want toughness, and maybe he's just looking for the toughest guy in the room.
Mm, yeah, and that could be a very good possibility. And folks, I talked a little bit about this yesterday here with Steve Balistrieri. Elliot Wolf mentioned you don't want a guy who's going to throw up his hands after something goes wrong. You want to find the guy that's going to be the right fit that can handle being the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Someone with the ability to handle the pressures of
Yeah.
being a quarterback here. That leads me nicely into my next question for you, my friend, in that if the Patriots are going to go number three at quarterback, reports are indicating that they may not be in a rush to play this guy right away. They may
Right.
actually sit the youngster, maybe for a year, maybe even more than that, while a veteran comes in here, runs the team for a little bit, gets the offense set under Alex Van Pelt, and then all of a sudden you're going to see this next franchise quarterback rise to prominence. If in fact the Patriots are going to go that veteran route, is there anybody that you have your eye on that could be a good fit both as a mentor and a temporary steward for Alex Van Pelt's offense?
Wow, that's a really good question, Michael. So yeah, there's a lot of veterans out there this year that could fill that role. It's the fact that, do they want to fill that role? Does Ryan Tannehill want to come in here and hold somebody's hand for 2 years? I know Kirk Cousins does not,
Hmm.
unless you want to go out and spend 25 or 30 million dollars on this guy. I really don't think the Patriots want to do that. Tyrod Taylor's out there, 34 years old. He's been around for a while. He's a guy that could be a mentor depending on the quarterback that you bring in. Baker Mayfield, of course, has history with Van Pelt. And, then there's always my guy, Gardner Minshew.
Hmm.
The guy that I wanted 3 years ago. Yeah, there are guys out there that we absolutely would like, but I think at the end of the day, you're going to see a Jacoby Brissett type come in here and be that guy, that somebody to lean on, somebody that isn't going to get butt hurt if he's outplayed in you know the first the during the first training camp, and they end up going with the young quarterback. If they think, yeah, he can handle it. Yes, we were able to do enough on the offensive line to protect this kid and keep him from being under constant bombardment in the way that quarterbacks here over the last 2 years have been. So yeah, there are guys out there, and I wouldn't mind seeing Jacoby Brissett or my guy Gardner Minshew coming in here There's been talk about Joe Flacco. How much are you going to have to pay Joe Flacco to come here now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. See, this
Yeah.
is another thing that people don't understand. How much are you going to have to pay some of these guys to come here? They're not coming here to compete for a championship. These guys are coming here to babysit and mentor the next guy.
Right.
And you have to have the right mentality to do that. I don't know if my boy Gardner Minshew has that. And I honestly think Baker Mayfield still believes that he's, the number one pick in the draft and should be headed to Canton sometime. So I don't know. If they go this route, this isn't the route that I would go. I would take a quarterback in this draft because I do think there are going to be guys there in the second round if people aren't reaching. If this fan base right now, who was so upset and so driven to get back to the playoffs, and an owner that wants to get back to the playoffs is going to spend this kind of draft capital and then just be, okay, let's sit and wait and punt the first two of that 5-year contract.
Yeah, if you're taking a guy at number 3, you're going to hear a lot of the chatter from the media, from the fan. You absolutely need a quarterback that's going to be in the right frame of mind, that's going to be
Yep.
used to doing this. You're
Right.
going to need a quarterback with experience doing this before. It's not going to work if you're bringing in someone and hoping he's going to develop into a mentor. Doesn't work that way. Not
Right.
in this situation, not with the number 3 overall pick. You can do that with a 3rd rounder or a 4th rounder. You
Right.
can't do it with a 1st rounder.
No.
There's too much capital invested to want to see this kid get in there and get in there as soon as possible. And that's why I think you mentioned a Jacoby Brissett type.
Yep.
I think it might be Jacoby Brissett himself.
Yeah.
He's got experience doing this. Not only can he mentor, which we've seen him do in Cleveland and in Washington, but he can come in and he can play at a moment's notice
Right.
and be able to make a start on a dime
Right.
if there is a problem with the quarterback, if there's an injury, if he's playing poorly. Jacoby Brissett knows how to come in and be a bridge quarterback. He did it for Howell. We saw him do it a couple of times for Tua Tagovailoa down in Miami when he was down there. We saw him have his best statistical season in Cleveland a couple of years ago with Alex Van Pelt. So this is where it comes from, and I agree with you, Murph. I think that's the type of quarterback you need to have coming in here, and unfortunately, it does mean c'est la vie to Mac Jones, and I think that that's something that we were all expecting. It's probably the right move, folks. I think it's the right move for the organization. I definitely think it's the right move for Mac. Hopefully, a clean break will allow him to continue his career elsewhere as well, and it puts the Patriots into a new era. And Murph, it is definitely a new era in Foxborough. We talk about the new dawn, the new day here in New England. Are the New England Patriots so eager to move in a new direction, folks, that they're willing to take shots or maybe even step on the toes of those that laid the foundation for them here? Murph and I are going to talk about that in just a moment, about whether or not some of the changes the Patriots are making might be shots at the previous regime. This and more when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Locked On listeners, what's the first thing you'd do if you had an extra hour in your day? Maybe go for a run or take a nap, read a book, or maybe spend some extra time with family and friends. A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time, but the question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. Therapy can also empower you to be the best version of yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Thank you, Patriots fans, for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. And we are joined, as always, by the legend himself, the Don here on Locked On Patriots, my good friend Thomas Murphy. Murph, in the previous segment, we talked about the Patriots' new plan at quarterback, what it means for the number 3 overall pick, some veteran options, and moving on from Mac Jones. And I think all of these changes, Murph, definitely point to a new era here in Foxborough, a
Yep.
new day here in Foxborough. 24 years of the Patriot Way under Bill Belichick is no longer the norm here. Now we're developing a little bit of a new attitude, a little bit of a new process, different things, different feel.
Right.
But at the same time, with that new excitement in the air, and there is excitement for a new regime coming in, as there should be, there also seem to be a few, maybe a few kicks of the dirt back
Yep.
in the direction of the previous regime that held these offices here in New England for so long. We've been seeing a lot of those, whether they're
Yep.
intentional or whether they're not. We've been seeing a lot
They
of
are.
those kind of taking shots at the old style, the previous occupants of One Patriots Place, namely Bill Belichick. What do you believe is the intention in that case? And what type of message do you think it sends to this new generation of Patriots coming in?
I'm not really sure what type of message it sends to the new generation because, um, when you look around the league at former players, there aren't a lot of them taking shots at Bill Belichick. What does that mean? Instead of running the hill after two-a-days, we're going to end up, we're going to go to the petting zoo. All right, because that's what everybody gets a basket of kittens in their locker or puppies to sit there and play with after practice. I thought it was a terrible look. I thought it came off as smarmy and you know quite frankly a complete lack of respect for the law. That's what we're dealing with here, folks. A complete lack of respect for the law. All right. Whether you folks like it or not, or whether they like it or not, these people have jobs in New England because of Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick brought in Gerard Mayo and asked him to come back and coach. Bill Belichick brought Elliott Wolf here when after he went out and was um, interviewing for GM jobs in San Francisco and there in Cleveland, and they weren't having him. No, they weren't hiring him. Bill brought him in, and I just feel like it's a stab in the back. It's kicking somebody on their way out the door, and I'm fed up with it. And I made that very clear on social media that I was fed up with it, and others have followed suit. I mean, even the most hardened get Bill Belichick out of here. It's time for a change. People felt exactly the same way that I did. Enough is enough. We understand that you're different, and it's going to be a different way and a different vibe here. Because that's what it's all about, the vibe. Um, I mean, for a very long time, that vibe won a lot of football games here, and it wasn't just Tom Brady. And to say that it was is disrespectful not only to Bill Belichick, but to the other coaches that worked here, to the other players over 20 plus years that put this uniform on and went out there and lined up next to Tom Brady. Yeah, enough is enough. I've really had it. There's some people in this town that have absolutely no sympathy for Bill Belichick on their way out the door, and they've treated him better than the people that have taken over One Patriot Place now.
Well, one thing I can tell you for sure, Gerard Mayo definitely heard what was going on. The organization, I
Yep,
guarantee you, is definitely hearing some of the backlash for this because Wednesday morning, Gerard went on the attack
right.
and he went on damage control attack. I'm sorry to say it like that, folks, but that's exactly what this
That's what
was.
happened.
The question was asked, and the question probably was asked for good reason. And Gerard Mayo had the answer ready. And I'm quoting Gerard verbatim. And he said, it's going to be different. But at the same time, I would say Bill did a great job for a long period of time. I don't want you guys to take this as because we're changing that shots toward the previous regime. In
Right,
saying that, we will do it differently. It'll feel different. But at the end of the day, we would like to replicate the success that the prior regime has had. I
right.
learned a lot from Bill and also from his staff, but now we'll see what this chapter looks like.
This is something that should have been said in his introductory press conference. All right,
Absolutely.
not
I
after
agree with you.
everything that has been said up to this point,
Hmm.
and until the local big media started getting on it. All right,
Hmm.
I said stuff after that introductory press conference. I've said it all along. It just seems like every time a member of the New England Patriots that is still employed there has a microphone put in their face, they have something smarmy to say, and you might not interpret it that way, but I did. It's I've been told before about the even in my coaching, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
And the way that they came across was like the worst episodes of Mad Men.
I understand the need to move forward, but it also doesn't give you carte blanche to start taking shots at the way the previous
Right.
regime did things here. If there are things that you think did not work well, the best way to go
That's it.
about doing that and to prove that you're the right man for the job or the right regime for the job is to go out and change it. Let your
That's it.
actions speak louder than your words. You're talking about a regime that had 24 years of unprecedented success. Whether it had reached its peak, whether it had gone beyond its expiration date, is a matter of conjecture. We'll find that out in the coming
Years.
days, months, and
Yeah.
years. Gerard's the one that made the statement. I'll give
Yep.
him credit for it. I do commend him for making that statement because, like you said, Murph, it had to be made,
It
and
had to be made.
it was a line that had to be drawn. I think you'll see a lot less of that now. Now that it's within the radar of the powers
Yeah.
that be in Foxborough, they definitely do not want to anger this fan base. You can't risk alienating anybody. And believe me when I tell you, folks, as much as you're not hearing a lot of them chirping on social media or being active on terrestrial radio, there is still an awful lot of Patriots fans in this region that appreciate what Bill Belichick did here for
Right.
24 years. And the more you take shots at him, the more you risk alienating those fans, not
That's it.
just in the future, but in the short term. And that's where it's going to hurt the crafts in the pockets if they keep
And
doing this.
neither of us sitting here talking to you today are doing anything but being hopeful that these changes are going to work out.
Yeah.
That Gerard Mayo is going to end up being an excellent head coach of the football team of the New England Patriots,
Hmm.
and that Elliott Wolf is going to be able to make those right moves come
Hmm.
draft day
Yeah.
and during free agency, whether it's Wolf or not, because
Hmm.
the everybody's contract is coming up.
Yeah. And bottom line, folks, at the end of the day, maybe a new voice wasn't being needed in New
Yeah,
England. Maybe this new regime coming in is going to reach players a little bit easier and give them a little bit more of a voice than they've had in the past. Things change all the time. Times change. There is a time and a place for everything to change. Maybe
yep.
this was it for the New England Patriots. So, bottom line, folks, I think we will finally put this to rest. I think Gerard's comments will put it to rest, and we'll see what happens moving forward for your Patriots. But there is still the matter of scouting players at the combine, and the combine is in full swing, folks. In just a moment, Murph and I are going to discuss who we are going to keep our sharp eye on this weekend when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Basketball season is in full swing, and with FanDuel, you can make cheering on your favorite green team in the hub more enjoyable, more exciting, and maybe even a little more profitable. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit fanduel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. That's fanduel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots, spending part of your day with myself and my good friend, the legendary Thomas Murphy, the Don of Locked On Patriots. Don Murph, in the previous segments, we talked a lot about the Patriots' new plan at quarterback. We
Right.
talked about the Patriots' new regime and maybe taking some shots at the old regime. But we're going to get down to business because you know what? Bottom line, Murph, we like to talk business. You want to talk business, folks? Let's talk business.
Let's talk
And the
business.
business of the New England Patriots right now is on the field. Scouting combine is in full swing. Players are beginning their workouts. Obviously, over the course of Friday and Saturday, we're going to get a chance to watch all of the offensive weapons in
Right.
action. The quarterbacks, you're going to see the wide receivers, you're going to
Right.
see the running backs, you're going to see the tight ends. Hi, Claire. She's going to be glued to her set watching them. But bottom line, you're going to see potentially new Patriots working out on the field. We think, anyway. When it comes to the combine, when it comes to what you're going to be watching for, who's going to be catching your sharp eye as the workouts continue down in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium?
I for all the talk that I've spouted about the offensive line, we all know the needs of it and everything, but there are guys that that I'm going to be looking at that would be called weapons. The Xavier Worthies, the wide receiver
Mm,
out of Texas, the Devontae Walkers out of North Carolina. Of course, Lad McConkey. I really want to see him, and Adonai Mitchell. Adonai, pronounce that
Adonai.
first name. Adonai
Adonai.
Mitchell. The other kid from Texas. Keon Coleman. Troy Franklin. Guys that are going to be there at the top of the second round. We're looking for these weapons. These are some of the guys that I'm going to have my eye on when their turn comes and what's happening with them. I'm also going to be looking, of course, at the running back position and taking a close look at that. Who are the halfbacks that are out there? Jonathan Brooks, Blake Corum. He did a fine job there at Michigan. Bucky Irving, yeah, Bucky Irving. We love him, and of course, they Braylon Allen, who's just outside of the top 100. Kid out of Wisconsin. He's a fantastic find. So those are the guys that I'm looking at. I don't want to step on Claire's toes and go too full bore with the tight ends.
Well, on behalf of our great Countess of Class, I told her that I would
Yeah.
definitely keep my sharp eye out on a few tight ends this weekend. And one guy I'm going to be watching closely is a guy I've mentioned here before on these airwaves, and that's Jared Wiley.
Jared
I
Wiley.
think Wiley definitely has a shot to be a wide tight end of the future. And if the Patriots are serious about maintaining some level of familiarity on this roster next year, and they do bring back Hunter Henry, I
Hmm.
think this kid could be heir apparent. And I'm not saying that he's going to be the same type of player or really fit into the same mold that Hunter Henry did, because Henry is a different type of player. But
Right.
the one thing that I do love about this kid, obviously well sized, 6'7", 260. You're not going to push
No.
this kid around. He's well
Right.
equipped to play this position. I do like to see tight ends that have the ability to align slightly flexed away from the tackle. And
Right.
if you watch Jared Wiley, that's exactly what he did when he was at TCU. I think this kid has the opportunity to hone in his blocking skills and maybe end up being a weapon in the short intermediate areas to be able to make things happen. He's not going to get a whole lot of playing time in year one, but if this kid
No.
can sit behind guys like Hunter Henry and maybe a Pharaoh Brown if they bring him back, which they should, folks.
Yep.
Murph and I are definitely on board for that. I'd
Right.
like to see Wiley get a little bit of play. I'm going to be watching closely for my guy Dylan Lauby.
Right.
There's no question about that. I want to see this kid's ability as a pass catcher. I think this is an underrated need for the New England Patriots,
Right.
and I think he could definitely satisfy that. Another guy to keep an eye on is Clemson's Will Shipley. And I know some
Oh.
people are, maybe on the fence about Ship a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got the ability to carry the ball. He averaged 5 yards per carry last season,
Right.
827 yards, 5 touchdowns, an average of 5.6 yards per carry for 1,182 yards and 15 touchdowns just 1 year earlier in 2022. But as a pass catcher, this kid can get the job done as well. 31 catches last year, 244 yards, 2 touchdown receptions. He's got the skills as a runner, but his ability to be a backfield receiving threat could make him a dual threat. So keep a
Right.
sharp eye on him. I'm going to be watching him closely. And Murph, I think we're going to take this full circle by talking about quarterbacks. And one guy that I'm interested in watching this
Okay.
weekend, simply because he's not getting a whole lot of press when it comes to New England and seems to be falling very rapidly throughout the draft boards, is Michael Penix Jr. of Washington.
Yeah.
I really want to see what this kid is going to look like. We talked about him a couple of days ago here on Locked On Patriots. You
Yeah.
mentioned that you didn't have much concern about his injuries.
Nope.
From what we're hearing, he seems to be fully healthy. Right now, you just want to make sure that he's fundamentally prepared for the NFL. I know there are some issues with accuracy and some issues with footwork. I want to see if he's going to be able to quell some of those with a solid workout this weekend. I'm going to have my
Yep.
sharp eye on.
I'd love it. I love it. I love a lefty quarterback, man. Go
Mm.
bring it on. Bring it on.
Mm.
If you don't go with one of the big three, if you want toughness, this kid is it. Okay, this kid has battled adversity. He knows how to win. Um, and I would really enjoy it if they ended up trading down just a little bit, getting me my tackle, and then going and getting Michael Penix, later in the first round or at the top of the second round, with some of that capital that you were able to build up from dropping down a tad bit. I don't want to, as some other people have mocked up, trading down to 18. Uh, but but just a slight trade back if you aren't going to take one of those three, and I would really enjoy this. I really
Mm.
would. I like the
Mm.
guy.
Bottom line, folks, it's going to be fun scouting all of these players for your New England Patriots. And don't forget that Monday is still Mock Draft Monday here on Locked On Patriots. So make sure to get those mock drafts in. Submit them either to myself at MDABATENFL, to Murph at TMurph207, or you can at the Locked On Patriots account at LO_Patriots, or you can send them in by email at lockedonpatriots@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to give a tip of the cap and a big thank you to my good friend Thomas Murphy, who's always there for the handoff when I need him. Before I let you go today, Don Murph, please let everyone know where they can find you, where they can interact with you, and what you got cooking in Murph's kitchen until we meet back here again on Monday for Mock Draft Monday.
No, I'm off. I'm off. I'm going to spend time with the family. Yeah, I've got some baseball stuff with the Team Butchie kids. This incarnation of them, even that changes. Patriot regime change, and brand new Team Butchie. But no, you can follow me on Zitter at TMurph207 and keep up. You never know what might tick me off or tickle my fancy, and I'm gonna sit down here at the keyboard and drone out a few hundred words.
Folks, continue to get your mock drafts in for Mock Draft Monday here on Locked On Patriots. But in the meantime, I encourage you all to stay safe and to stay well and to be the change you wish to see in the world. On behalf of my good friend Thomas Murphy, the legend himself, I'm Mike Debate. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again next time on Locked On Patriots.